All right. Hey everyone, Mark here. Sorry I'm running a little bit behind today. I usually get these started a little earlier, so I appreciate you taking the time here to spend with me on this live stream. So welcome to another Greenbridge Investing Market Analysis. I'm going to first go over Bitcoin because I'm sure people are wondering. I even got a question in our free chat room. Is now a good time to buy Bitcoin for the long term? So I'm going to answer that. Also, the story with the S&P and Nasdaq. Okay, what level can we anticipate the bottom? Because they're trying to find the bottom, but it's not been very clear. So we're going to talk about that as well. The reason why that's so important is because it's a gauge for timing your stocks. So if you're looking for swing trades or you're looking for certain types of trades, the Nasdaq and the S&P, they really need to be going in your favor to really help the probability of your long turning out. Now, obviously, if you're short, that's a different story, but we don't like to short stocks outright. We'd rather do that with something like the Qs or some of the other instruments available for a major index. Anyway, all right, so let's get into this. This is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Now, hey Ricky, hey Jay. If you guys, anyone that's new to the channel here, you guys, here's how it works. If you have a symbol or a market you'd like to see, just share it in the chat now. So once I get through my analysis, which I'm going to try to make very brief here so I can get to your charts, then we can take a look at what you guys want to see. Okay, so also if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And if you can, press the like button if you like the video. From what I understand, some people have been giving me a hard time about these videos, so I hope that you guys like them. Anyway, so let's get into Bitcoin here, and let's talk about this. So the question that I saw in the free chat room was, now is a good time to get into a long-term trade in this? Well, those of you that have been around for a little while in our paid chat room, you guys know my answer. It's going to be no. Because we're at a high. This is typically where, when you see a market go vertical like this, and I've been talking about this, this is what catches everyone's attention now. This is when everyone wants to buy into this thing now because it looks safe, right? Like, oh, it's strong. So now is a safe time to buy. Couldn't be any further from the truth. This is the worst time to buy, whether it's long term or short term. The reason for that is the risk of retrace is very high at this level. Now, I have an inflection point up here at 13.6. That's a projection that I had done, and obviously it's trying to get there, right? So it could touch that level. It's very likely with this type of momentum, no problem. But these are levels, these current levels are places to reduce risk. And as you know, for people that took the 2 Bitcoin swing trades that I called over the previous couple of weeks, we had the alternate trade right here, which I know some people got into that at 11,415. And then we had our original trade back here at 10,675. That is where you should have been interested in buying Bitcoin. That's where the reward risk made the most sense. And that's where the potential was, okay? Our targets were all distributed basically between like 11,000 and 12,000, and I even had some targets at 13,000. What's today's high on this thing? 13,175. I believe the alternate trade had a target of 13.2. In fact, here, let me pull it up here real quick. This was the alternate trade. Now that was here's the original trade idea that I sent out. You could see the numbers there. Target 3 was 12,875. Okay, we're getting out of it. All right, not buying more. Also, here's the alternate trade. Actually, no, wait, is this it? This is the alternate trade, okay? Target 3, 13,215. So that obviously has not filled yet, but it's close. So the point is, we're getting out, not getting in. So the next question is, so then where do you get in? And that's a good question. So back to the chart with all the levels on it here. We cleared the 11,600 to 12,300 resistance, and we cleared it quickly. That's often a result of short covering. I've wrote about that a number of times in TradingView. That when you start to clear the level, not only do the shorts have to become buyers, which there were plenty of those, especially if you go by the people making fun of me on my TradingView articles about being long, obviously they all had to cover. So they had to become buyers, but then you have new buyers jumping in. On top of that, all this positive news coming out about all these hedge funds and blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't know about that when I called these trades. Okay, that news comes out now, it attracts the herd and allows us to get out. That's it. It's very simple. So as far as a new buying opportunity, I bring up this level, the 11,600 to 12,300. I bring up that level for one reason, and that's because that resistance should now become a support. Okay, old support becomes new resistance and vice versa. Old resistance becomes new support. It's like an inversion type of thing. There's a psychological reason behind that. But what's important is the area. So if we can get back to 12,000, that's a place where we will be looking for a swing trade long. Now keep in mind, if you like to follow news and all that other stuff, most likely what's going to turn this thing around and get it back to such a level is some type of negative news. But usually when all that news is flowing in the market and then you go on TradingView or you go on to some other forum and you say, oh, I wonder if this is a good time to buy. And you see all the fake gurus on there calling for shorts. They're going to be calling for shorts when this thing is going to look ugly over here. We're going to be looking for longs. Okay, so you have to get in the habit of ignoring the garbage and the irrelevant information that's going on around you. And you have to focus on the levels. The levels are what begin the trade for us. Okay, I have no idea what's going on in the news. I pay zero attention. I have to get news from either Andrew tells me or someone else tells me what's going on. I isolate myself like that for a reason. For one, I know that news is likely to give me some sort of bias. It could be subconscious. Maybe there's some negative news and I'll be like, oh, I'm not sure if I should get into this right now because of that negative news. That's the voice that's going to be going on in my head in the background, whether I realize it or not. But I don't have that problem. You know why? Because I pay attention to no news. I have no idea what's going on. I see what's going on in the price action, and that tells me what to do. Okay, so I bring that up again because this is the level that we want to see the buying opportunity for a new swing trade. And if it doesn't go to that level, then maybe we'll get another level. Maybe it'll find support up in here, okay, around that 12.3 if it doesn't want to test the high 11 area or mid 11 area, maybe that 12.3 area. It depends on the market, right? The market will determine. I know the levels to anticipate. First, we have to get there. Then we have to develop a setup, okay, a long signal of some kind. And then it has to confirm where we can measure our risk. It has to complete those 3 steps. Otherwise, I have no trade. Those trades that I sent out on Sunday and the Sunday before, it completed all 3 steps, okay? And I was able to measure the risk, justify taking a risk. And I sent that out to our members. So that's the story with Bitcoin. Now, for long term, if you think, well, how about investment? How about position trade, as we like to call it? Well, these levels that I just mentioned are probably not the best for position trade. Why? Because it carries too much risk for that type of time frame. So for a position trade or an investment, when you have a buying opportunity, it's possible to turn a swing trade into a position trade. It's possible, but you can't do it with a large position. So if you're buying as an investment, okay, let's say it goes back to like 11.5 or something, and you want to buy some, but to hold it for the long term, it's possible that it may pop up a bit or something, and then next thing you know, it might be lower. I mean, you don't know. It may, who knows? Maybe it'll test 10.5 again. That's where you put on more for the long term. When it tests extreme levels, that makes everyone uncomfortable. Maybe it'll test 9,000. It's not likely, but if Bitcoin offers that opportunity, those are the levels where it's okay to put on more. Now, if you noticed, well, if you're not in a chat room, you're not going to know. But for those of you that are in the chat room, when Bitcoin hit these ugly levels, what do you think Andrew was doing? Did you see, you read the messages he puts? He's buying for the long-term portfolio. He's buying inventory. He doesn't do that up here. He does that when things look really bad, okay? So same with the altcoins. So I just want to point that out. You know, that's a very long answer to a simple question, but those are the levels that you need to be prepared for. If Bitcoin never gets there, because it may not get back there, then you just have to work with what it gives you. But the only way to control your risk in that scenario is with proper sizing. Okay, so real quick, let's just take a look around at the altcoins. Look at Litecoin. This thing came out of nowhere. This thing was looking like garbage for the longest time. I was hating Litecoin. I'm like, look at this thing. This thing sucks. Okay, but now that Bitcoin is back in the spotlight, oh, everyone's buying Litecoin again. Okay, so the story has changed. This thing took out a lower high. This is a very bullish sign for this thing. Okay, the structure is now improving. Now we can start looking at Litecoin. Doesn't mean you buy it right here at these prices, but on a pullback, this could be also a buying opportunity, right? So Litecoin. Obviously, we know Ethereum follows Bitcoin, and that thing is doing well, right? So I don't even have to look at that chart. What about some of these other ones, though, like Link USD? What is that? That's not the right chart. Hold on. So let's pull up Chainlink here for a minute. Now look at this. So now it's starting to perk up. See this? We talked about longs back here, and I know some of our members may actually be in this. We don't call all of these trades at the same time. We're not going to call Chainlink and Ethereum and Bitcoin and Litecoin all at the same time because it's all the same trade. Okay? They're just different variants of Bitcoin. So in this situation here, if you're long Link, okay, great. There's nothing to do. Just let it run. You have higher lows. It keeps making higher highs. As long as Bitcoin keeps that momentum going, this thing should probably test higher. I wouldn't expect this thing to run to like 30 like in a day or anything like that, but you know, you're on the right side. Use Bitcoin as your gauge, okay? So another one that's been on our radar too, NEO. Again, same situation. It was acting relatively weak in recent days. That's why I didn't call that trade back here because I didn't like this price action, and now it's starting to perk up. It's reacting to Bitcoin. Okay, so if money wants to start flowing back into these things, no problem. But we don't want to buy these highs. We want to wait for a pullback. And again, it's all one big Bitcoin trade. All right, so that's pretty much that. All right, let's move on here. Now, the next thing I want to talk about real quick, and thank you for your questions in the chat. I'm going to get to those here in a moment. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq because this is an important question for those, especially for those that are trading stocks. Look at this thing. This thing has been. Let's look at the recent couple of days here. The candlesticks tell an important story. Now, those of you in our members chat room know that we call the short up here, okay? And then I believe Andrew sold a put against that short, basically taking the profit early. That's basically when you're long a put and you sell a put against it, it's a covered put. It's like a covered call. And it's the same idea. You're basically locking in profit if this thing looks like it's going to turn, okay? And look what it's doing. So a couple of days ago, what's today? Thursday? So Tuesday, we had an inside bar, okay? Wednesday, we had this bullish inside bar, but it had not taken out any highs or lows. So trying to put a bottom in fact, you can argue that there's a little mini triple bottom. If you look like on a 1 hour chart, you can argue that there's a triple bottom there. On top of that, that triple bottom developed at an important inflection point. You see this? So when you see something like this, this is very important for stocks. Because if you're looking for swing trades long, and we're going to talk about some of these stocks here in a moment, especially if they're market sensitive, like AMD, like Microsoft, like, you know, some of these other ones, NVIDIA, Apple, you know, these are all market stocks. They're basically a reflection, right? Amazon is another one. They're a reflection of this. So this pin bar today, that's a bullish sign. Again, so we have basically all these pin bars or all these tails coming off of an important inflection point. This is a high probability reversal price, right where it is now, okay? Fooling around 11,659. This is a good place to try for a long. Now, as far as so we have the location, right? Step one. Step two, we have the setup. We have a bullish pin bar. I mean, the candle itself, the color of the candle doesn't have to be green. All right, we have a pin bar with a tail on the bottom off of an important location. So step 2 is there. Step 3, we need the confirmation, right? So that would be breaking the high of, what is this, 735 tomorrow. That's what, or it could even occur overnight. So for the CFD, this is actually a long setup right there. And your risk obviously would be defined by the bottom of that tail, which could be, you know, if you buy the CFD, it could be somewhat painful if you have too large of a position, because this is easily 150 points, right? What's the high to the low? What is this range? 735, the low is 523. So that's 200 points, right? 200 to over 200, like 212 points or whatever that is, something like that. So that's the kind of pain that you're facing if you get into something like this, okay? So something to keep in mind. Now, how do you control for that? Size. Now, you don't have to do the futures outright. You know, again, you could buy the Qs on something like this. Again, size. So and the Qs should have a similar chart. But even if you're not involved in the CFD or in the Qs, this pin bar is important for stocks, okay? So let's just take a look at a couple of stocks here, market sensitive stocks. So let's start with something like AAPL, right? Because that's a market sensitive stock. Now, today's close, not so good. But the thing is, if that Nasdaq turns, this is likely to turn green, right? And you see the higher low trying to develop. We have a couple of bullish inside bars over the previous couple of days, but today is lousy. Okay, no problem. But Apple isn't the only one. Let's take a look at Amazon, right? What's Amazon doing? Pin bar, okay? It's a buy signal basically developing in Amazon at a decent location, at least for an attempt higher. Don't know if it's going to make new high, but at least for an attempt. What's another market stock? Well, AMD. This was a trade of the week that we sent out, okay? Now, Alice asked an interesting question, I think it was yesterday. He asked, is the trade of the week still basically in play, even though AMD went below its theoretical stop? And here's the order. You could see I put the stop at 80.25, but the price to get in was 82.25. I'm sorry, 82.80. And as you can see on that day, which was here, the high was 81.90. So it never actually activated this trade of the week. But it doesn't mean that you throw it away, right? Just like Jumia, it took a few weeks for that thing to actually come back into play. So keep this one on your radar, because if the market recovers, this is likely to go too, and off of a nice higher low. And you have an inflection point right here, right there. Okay, see that? So great location. You have this little, it's not exactly an inside bar, but you see it's the same idea. Just have to take out that high. If the Nasdaq does it, this thing's going to do it too. Okay, and that's how you should trade altcoins against Bitcoin too. If you're doing it, you know, Bitcoin is like your major index, and you use that as a gauge. That's why I'm going over these. All right, so those are the things I wanted to cover: Bitcoin, the Nasdaq, and how they relate to a couple of altcoins and a couple of stocks. Now, let's get into your questions. All right, let's see how long I've been talking here. Yeah, it's about enough time for me. So let's say hi to everyone. Hey, Ricky, nice to see you. Jay, Pow, DJ. All right, cool. Jeremy, nice to see you. All right, so let's see what we have here. DKNG, is that DraftKings? DKNG. Yes, it is. I always confuse that one for Dunkin' Donuts because I like Dunkin' Donuts. But all right, so let's take a look here. Now this is a nice pullback on this thing. Off of this, I like this location. Definitely like the location. Look at that back here. So this is likely to be a support in this area where it is right now. And we see a buying candle today. So this is good, all right? It would be nice if this thing could maybe take out yesterday's high. What is that, 43.80? Maybe give it a little more room. Maybe 44.25 would make sense, or something like that. I mean, the market's closed. Obviously, you're not going to buy it now. This one may be a good options candidate as well. I don't know what the options are. I don't know what the calls are. Maybe DJ, maybe if you want to look that up real quick, let us know. For something like, you know, middle of the range, a few months out. So here, the strike price would be like, let's say we're at $40 right now. So let's say a $52 strike price. And let's say for like January or April call. So that's a deep out of the money call with about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months of time in that thing. It might be expensive with this one, I don't know. But if it's cheap, like, if you can get that something like that for a couple of dollars, $2 or whatever, maybe 2.5, maybe 3, that might be a good options play, right? Because you get to tie up a lot less money and you get to capitalize. Now, some people, like for example, Henry likes to buy in the money options, which are very expensive, and he buys them with time. The reason why he likes to do that is that he doesn't have to deal with the theta decay. But the thing is, if the stock continues to pull back, he has to take more pain. What I like about buying deep out of the money, oh, okay, thanks, DJ. What I like about buying deep out of the money options is if the market doesn't really do a whole lot, it doesn't really change much. And if the market just gets like halfway there or something, you can get a decent little premium out of it, okay? Like, for example, you see NYCB today had that little pop. Maybe like something like if you're buying something for like $1 or $2 and it goes up like $1 on maybe a 3 or 4 point move on the stock, hey, I'll take that. Especially if you have 5 or 10 contracts, I'll take it. But you can only get away with that if you have like 4 or 5, 6 months in the option. You're not going to be able to get away with that buying front month. So now in a situation, DJ is saying here that the $50 call for May, wow, 975, that's ridiculous. Why is it so ridiculous on, well, I guess this thing's a mover. So now in a situation like this, this is where we kind of briefly mentioned it on our show yesterday or the other day. Credit, you could do like a credit or even a debit spread in a situation like this. What is that? Well, if you know options, like one thing you could do is you can you could do something called a bull put spread. Okay, I'll explain it really quickly. You sell the at the money put, okay, and collect a huge premium on it. That at the money put would obviously have to be front month or maybe like 2 months out, but probably like front month. Because remember, if you're selling a put, you want the price to go higher. If it goes lower, you have to take delivery. But if you protect this, you can protect yourself. So you can buy a lower put, all right? Because you're taking a big premium for that at the money put, but then you buy one that's out of the money, which should be cheaper. So that's going to eat into your premium, but so what? The idea is to have a reduced risk and a high probability of coming ahead green and taking advantage of inflated premiums. That's what credit spreads are good for. And some of these stocks probably offer some decent opportunities. I have to look into that more because I don't really open up a lot of credit spreads. I like to just do outright, short puts or just long calls to make it simple. But it may be something worth looking into with these overinflated premiums. Okay, so all right, so that's DraftKings. I mean, I like it as a long. Okay, so just to get back to the stock here, I like it as a long, and your risk is defined by 40.5. So basically, you're putting your stop at like 39.5, something like that, and you're looking for $8 to $10. That's within reason if it tests the middle of the range. So you're risking about 2 to make more than 4. That's greater than 2 to 1 reward risk. That trade makes sense, okay? Especially with the position of the Nasdaq. Now, this is not exactly a market follower, but anything, it all helps. So thanks for bringing that up. Let's take a look at PSX. Phillips. Oh, I think Andrews brought this up. This is an energy stock. And okay, right away, I see the double bottom. Okay, so I see that there, POW, which probably is what you're looking at. Now, these energy stocks, let's see. Let's look back a little bit here and see. I don't know why this is here. Let me clear that now. So you have a potential high or low situation, okay, and a double bottom. So not bad. This obviously doesn't strike me as a fast stock. So let's see, 52. You have a buy signal here. Can't argue with that. Let's look at some of the inflection points or some potential areas that you're competing with as far as resistance. You're looking at that. You're looking at this. Okay. So what is that? 56. So 56 would be one area that you need to reach. In fact, you need to reach that to reverse that whole structure. Thing is, you have a really broad high or low. Not bad, okay? What's your risk in this thing? 47.5. say figure around 47 would be where your stop is, maybe the high 46s, and you're at 50 right now. So you're risking about $3, $3.50 to try to make more than 5, because if it clears that 56 area, then you're looking at 65, and that may take, you know, a few weeks. We're not talking about a couple of days here. So the reward risk makes sense. Okay, I mean, I like it. I like the structure. I like the location. I like the formation. The only thing I don't like about this stock is it's an energy stock. They've been a pain. They've been like the cannabis sector. But if you can be patient with it, you definitely have the criteria is met on something like this. I like it. In fact, I should send this out as a swing trade idea. But okay, thank you for bringing that one up. Yeah, so I agree with that one, Powell, for sure. Philip 66 PSX. All right, Powell always brings up good ones. All right, so FEAC. Let's see. Okay. You know, I've heard of this stock. I've seen this one before. Now, this thing's kind of a mess. So let's first look at support and resistance levels. All right, so I see we have a level there. Now these are really messy. I see one here too, around there. And right now, you do have it's a messy bullish structure, but it is bullish. You do have you have a higher low. You have a higher high attempt over here. It didn't exactly make a higher high, but I don't see this thing breaking supports. And you have this really dramatic pin bar here today. So the way this thing looks in general, though, it looks more, at this moment, it looks more range bound than in a clear trend. So yes, you have a pin bar, but I would be a little suspect on something like this, because you don't really have a great structure. It's not a horrible structure. It's just there are better ones out there. So for something like this, I would, instead of being aggressive with this pin bar, unless you really believe in the stock and there's other factors that you like about it, I would wait on something like this and see if it can give you more stability, meaning it gives you a little mini double bottom situation here or something, okay, instead of a single candle. Or you wait for a better level, which would be here, you know, which is what, basically the mid 11 area, 11 and a half, something like that. If it can test that and then give you a reversal structure, that would be also an opportunity. So like I said, this spot, like a way you can control for the risk on something like this, again, is maybe smaller position. So if you normally do 100 shares, maybe you do 50 or 25, and if it pulls back, you average in, buy a little bit more, and you're controlling your risk. If the thing completely breaks all these supports, well, then you're not going to keep putting on more. You're just going to wait for, you know, either stability, or you just bang out of it and take the small loss. Okay, that's what you just have to watch out for. But okay, so so I would say this is the middle of the range, and I would wait a little bit. Okay, but thank you for bringing that one up. All right, let's see, Ricky, can you please go over? All right, let's take a look. FSLY position trade sent out. Okay, position trade. Now that's not the same as a swing trade. So I'm glad you clarified that. Something like this, so when I do these analysis sessions, I'm really focused on swing trades, short term, meaning a couple of weeks, maybe a month type of outlook. A position trade is typically a couple of months or longer, right? It could go on for, you know, even on a yearly time frame. So has that gap. I could see why this would be called for a position trade. It's because it's in a dramatic location. Look at that support at basically, what is that, 73, and that dates back to July. Okay, so it's likely to find support there again. It may break the support. Okay, it's possible, and then if it breaks that, you're looking at, you know, a move to possibly into the 50s. So that's why with position trades, you have to be prepared for more risk, because you're going to be in it for a much longer period of time, which means typically with position trades, we don't use tight stops. Sometimes we don't use stops at all. And people may think, wow, that's crazy. Well, no, we control for the risk with the position size. You know, if you have 10 or 15 or 20 shares and the thing gives back $30, I mean, yeah, it sucks. but it's not going to wipe out your account, okay? But if you have, 1,000 shares, that could be a problem. So that's the way we control for something like this. Now, so again, not a bad location. There's no setup to go long. The only thing you have here is really the support that's coming up, and that's pretty much it. Typically with position trades, there's usually some sort of fundamental analysis involved. This may, Andrew may have been looking at some kind of fundamental situation that he likes, because that's usually what will carry these things over such a longer period of time. There should be some decent things going for the company. That's why, for short-term trades, I don't pay any attention to fundamentals, because it's not really relevant for the price momentum that I'm looking for. All right. So, but again, you have the location here. That's the only good thing that I could see from a technical perspective. All right. So thank you for bringing that one up. Again, you control for this one. You control for the risk with size. All right. Now, so let's see. DJ, all 13,125. Right. Okay. Oh yeah. All right. Now, Workhorse, Nicola and AMD. All right, so let's take a look. I've been watching these very carefully. We have a position in Workhorse, right? For those that don't follow us in the chat room, Andrew sent out a short put idea back here at 26 was the strike. We took delivery because it closed below. It was a weekly option. It went below 26. You had the choice to close the position for a loss, or you could take delivery of the stock. People were asking, should we take delivery of the stock? Well, we chose to take delivery because, we do believe in the, the longer term outlook for Workhorse. It's not like a cannabis stock or some other garbage, penny stock. They actually have something to offer, and they have a lot of potential. So we don't mind taking 100 shares. Plus, we're getting paid to do that, right? Whatever premium it took in, I forget how much it was. I think it was $3 or something like that. That means the cost basis is not 26, it's 23. Now, so it's against us a couple of dollars, right? This thing closed today at just over $20. But we're at an important support level. We talked about this in the podcast as well. This is a pretty important support level, and it looks like buyers are trying to hold this thing up. Okay, great. So nice candle today. Hopefully we can get some follow through. But because we have 100 shares now, we have the choice of selling a call and taking in more premium. Now, I think this stock, based on this location, this thing has potential to run at least back up to test 25. That's very reasonable over the next, week or something like that. So we'll have some choices. We can either get out of this thing or sell a call against it, or maybe it'll really go and we'll be in the position. So that's how we're looking to play Workhorse. At this moment, we have with this location, what we're seeing here, I would consider this a failed low, okay? Because it went slightly lower than the previous low, but it's fighting to come back, all right? So we just need to take out this high tomorrow, see some more strength come back in. But I like it. I like it as a long, especially off of that failed low. All right, so that's what's going on with that. Again, this is one of those where, deep out of the money option, they're probably a little bit more expensive, but like deep out of the money, something like this, you have to buy like the 40 call, way up here. But if you're buying 6 months out, do you think Workhorse can get to 40 in 6 months? It can get there probably in 2 or 3 weeks, right? If you get some real momentum. And look at this consolidation. Look at this. The stock is clearly strong, right? All we have here, this area right here, is just basically it's a consolidation. It's just a triangle. It's a messy triangle, and one broad high or low. If this low holds, and this thing starts to push, watch. You're going to see everyone on Robinhood. Should we buy Workhorse now over here? No, you shouldn't be buying it there. Okay, you should be buying it here, where it is now. Not up here. All right, so definitely like Workhorse. We don't have any, besides that options trade, we don't have any other official options trades, but definitely like deep out of the money calls on something like that. All right, now Nicola, same situation, same sector. This sector, the electric car sector or whatever you want to call it, is a very high potential sector. Yeah, they're in style right now thanks to Tesla and all that. But like what if a major car company, here's Tesla, which is not really doing anything. What if a major car company comes out, kind of like a GM or a Ford or whatever, and they go after like Nikola, right? Who bought this one? Was it General Motors bought into this one? Like that's going to have a very positive effect. What if they just buy out the company, right? So that's the kind of potential that you have in these things, right? It may not happen tomorrow, but who knows? It just comes out. That kind of news, a chart will not help you with. But let's talk about this Nikola chart. We have a couple of inside bars. It's fighting to go higher, right? After this ugly candle right here, which went nowhere, by the way. So a lot of times, people get faked out. They see the lower high. They see, oh, it's going lower. I better get short or I better get out. But then it doesn't go anywhere. This is a fake out, right? Followed by an inside bar, and now it's trying to go higher. So that lower high has now turned into a potential higher low. That's not in play, of course, until we take out that lower high at 26 and a quarter, basically. GM came up with Hummer. Not sure what you mean by there. With Hummer EV. Maybe you could clarify. But anyway, so this thing starts to push again, just like Workhorse. This thing has a lot of potential. Now, and I'm not talking about testing, $70. I'm talking about testing like $40. Okay, that this stock could do nothing and just test that area just on whatever, just on some dumb news, right? That's very reasonable over the next few weeks. People want to see this thing pushing, these highs over here. That can happen over time, but right now, hey, I'm happy with like this area here, and I think that's very within reason. So we got the formation developing here. I like Nikola, and another candidate for those deep out of the money options. This one I know you could have gotten the $40 call. In fact, I know a couple of people that got the $40 call for April at like $2 or something like that, $250. I believe that call is now worth about $3. And stock didn't even move. Okay, so nice on that. Now AMD. So I mentioned AMD earlier, but no, let's review it again real quick because this is the trade of the week for people that missed it. AMD, again, like the location, okay? And this is going to follow the Nasdaq. So that Nasdaq reverses, then this thing is probably going to go too. You just want to see the high get taken out. This high, what is that? 80, 82. That high gets taken out. You're going to have a buy signal. Now, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. 80, 82 is up here. Okay, that's the trade of the week buy signal. AMD is probably going to give a buy signal earlier if we take out the current high, which is 80, 82. 8280, these numbers are confusing because I have 8280 is the trade of the week buy signal, which is still in play as well, but you could get a better price here. All right, so if this thing takes out tomorrow, you have a higher low, you have basically a doji, and the Nasdaq, of course, needs to be going with this. And you could measure your risk at 79.5. So you can actually do better than trade of the week in this situation if you get in on this break, if it breaks tomorrow. All right, and it may start overnight. It's possible that it starts gapped if there's news overnight. You know how things go. Remember, we have this election coming up. By the way, I think tonight is the presidential debate. You might want to double check the calendar on that. Like I said, I don't follow any news, and I went over the economic calendar on Monday, and it said that the debate was scheduled for tonight. Now, they said that the week before, and it got canceled. So, and they didn't update the calendar, and they make me look bad, right? They make me look like I'm sharing fake news. And DJ is here to correct that. So just double check. The thing is, if the debate is tonight, and there's any economic talk that's substantive, okay, not just a bunch of picking on each other, if there's actually economic talk, it could have an effect, okay? The NASDAQ may start out higher tomorrow, which means a lot of these stocks could be gapped a little bit. If this gaps, you could try placing a limit order on something like this and try to pick it up, or just get in and you're just going to have to take more risk, all right? Now, I'm not expecting like a $3 gap on something like this, but, it may gap like 50 cents or something, all right? It's just something to keep in mind. Maybe it won't gap, but just wanted to throw the scenario at you there. All right, so that's AMD. So let's take a look at DBA. All right, no problem. Oh, and by the way, real quick, all right, since I have some people still in here, I know I've been talking for a while. If you're new to the channel, please do me a favor if you could subscribe to the channel. Also, if you like the video, please press the like button because it just, it's encouraging and it makes me feel like these are worthwhile because some people seem to think that they're not. And also, if you're new, please check out our website at greenbridgeinvesting.com. We do have a 7-day free trial. You can check out our swing trades by text, by email, our chat room, and our portfolio ideas by email. We are going to raise our prices soon, but not on current members. So if you're a current member, you're not going to be affected. But if you're a new member and our prices change, well, you're going to have to pay the higher prices. All right, enough sales. So that's AMD. Now, let's go and take a look here at, what was that? DBA. Okay, DBA. Okay, so this is a agriculture. Oh, this is like a commodity ETF. Okay. So let's take a look at the levels. Now this, you know what, this is going to trade like a Forex pair for one, because you're basically dealing with the dollar. You're also dealing with these kind of instruments are going to be sensitive to like economic situations. They're basically they can tell you a story about what's really going on rather than listening to people talk, like, the experts on TV or politicians. You actually see prices, prices doing things, whether it's in copper, like Andrew pointed out the other day, copper, which looked very interesting. You can get some other, you can gauge certain things by the price of oil, energy, also things like for infrastructure, like copper would be one. Another thing is like things like wheat and corn and whatever, right? They can give you an idea of certain things. So with all that aside, this is at a resistance, and I wouldn't buy this here. Now, a strong dollar, by the way, will knock these things lower, right? Because these things trade against the dollar, just like euro, just like Forex, just like gold. So a strong dollar can push this thing back to support of, what is that, 14.5. So if you're looking to buy this, I would wait. If you're looking to sell it, shorting something like this is tough. Now you do have this triple top that you can argue, and you do have a resistance there, but you are fighting this, and that's still in play. You know why it's still in play? Because we haven't taken out any supports. We have a double bottom that's in place. We haven't taken that out. So as long as we have that in play, this thing is likely to find support perhaps in the middle of the range, perhaps triple bottom, and then at least attempt another high. So shorting this is aggressive. So I'm not sure what you're thinking on it, but that's the way I would look at this right now. So I would be looking to buy it, and I'd be looking to buy it on a pullback if I was going to do anything with it. Now, if we look further out, you could say, well, but this is one broad lower high relative to, this price action back here. You can make that argument, say, well, that's bearish back there. It is, but the thing is, the more recent price action since July here, you have this huge double bottom that was put in, and it took out that resistance, means that that structure is no longer in play. Okay, and the more recent structure is bullish. So you have to go by that right now. Okay, so I'd be looking for the pullback to go long. Anyway, thank you for bringing that one up. It's definitely a good economic gauge. All right, so let's see what else we have here. Yeah, Powell, that Nasdaq, that's a great spot to be going long if it can hold. Now, so Jeremy, BCH. Okay, Andrew brings this one up all the time. And hold on a second. BCH. Nice push. Again, this is following Bitcoin. For the longest time, this thing was garbage. Okay, just garbage. And now it's starting to do something. Now, okay, fine. But it took Bitcoin. Bitcoin had to run to 13,000 to get these things going again. All right, so what this tells us is that money's flowing back in. People are taking these seriously again. No problem. That's why, we didn't go chasing all these things. Now we can start looking. Do we buy this thing right now? No. You wait for a pullback, okay? Because again, this is just one big Bitcoin trade anyway. This thing needs to pull back to, what is this? Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. I got the wrong symbol. Wrong symbol. Hold on. BCHUSD. Good thing I caught that. I was going to talk about that for like 2 hours. And then I wasn't going to read the chat. And then you guys have been like, what is this guy talking about? Okay, so hold on. I got it now. BCHUSD. Thank you for making that clear. But again, this thing's a piece of garbage anyway. Yeah, right, Sean. I got it. I'm like a minute ahead of you. All right. So, but again, it's the same story though. So this thing was garbage for a while. We stayed away from it, and now it's starting to perk up, right? Just like Banco Popular, whatever that thing was, Banco of Chile. Took out this high here, like many altcoins. This is what they should be doing with a Bitcoin rally, right? In fact, this chart looks very similar to Bitcoin. If you look at this price action back here, right? It looks very similar to Bitcoin. So what do you do with this now? Do you buy this breakout? No, I wouldn't touch it. Wait for the pullback. Don't chase it. Just wait for the pullback. You have all kinds of resistances in here that it's going to be dealing with. Look at all these old supports. Look at this. Look at all this inside of here. You see all that? That's going to be problematic for this. Now, who knows? Maybe it'll clear, but it's not worth the risk. So wait for a pullback of some kind. Wait for a buy setup. That's the best thing you could do. Or you can just buy Bitcoin. But the thing is, the next support level on this thing right now is probably going to be around this area right here, which is what, the 250s, 253, 245. Where are we right now? We're at 271. So yeah, it can pull back a bit. See if it does, right? And that's really where the lower risk, higher probability is. Buying this now is risky. You can buy it, but then you may get caught in that pullback, especially if Bitcoin gets caught in that 13,000 area and decides to retrace a bit and gets everyone bearish again. All right, so no reason to take that risk. But obviously the structure is improving. Like I said, money is flowing back into these things. And this is how they should be behaving with Bitcoin rallying the way it is. Sometimes these things get out of hand and they, some news will come out and they'll go vertical. But that's a gamble, right? And there's no way a chart's going to tell you if something like that will occur. So I wouldn't bet on that. Just wait for the pullback. Just like with so many of those, Chainlink is another one. All these have the same story. Litecoin, just wait for the pullback, okay? So thank you for bringing that one up. Let's see here. What else do we have? Okay. BCH, okay, SPY. 350 call on the SPY. So DJ, now what are you talking? Oh, look at that. So I like this candle, right? That's what the Nasdaq should be showing. What do the Qs show? Do the Qs show the same? The Qs aren't as compelling. They're not as enthusiastic. I guess it's Apple's fault. But look at the S&P. That's a nice close. Okay? See that? DJ saying here the $350 call. I don't know what that thing is. I don't know how much that thing is right now. Let me see. Mentioned he is risking 5,000 per contract. Are you talking about Henry? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. But anyway, if you're talking about the S&P 500 and you're talking about this is definitely a buy signal on this thing. Okay, where it is right now. It's the higher low, got a double bottom. Everything is there. You just have to take out this high tomorrow, but this is definitely worth a try on something like this to see if it goes for that new high. Now, one thing I have to say about these, something like the S&P and Nasdaq, very important thing I have to say with the election. Now, and I talked about this going, I've been talking about this for weeks about the uncertainty going into the election. That's the thing. So the market pulled back, as you could see, it had that nasty pullback, and we retraced off of this this area here. This area here was a, what do you call it? A high probability reversal area or vulnerable area for longs. So it was a possible short. That's why we took that short. And this thing may be more range bound is what my point is. I don't know if this higher low would lead to a higher high before the election. Perhaps after the election, but that depends on the outcome of the election. So with uncertainty going into it, I just want to say that it's possible that to get a lot of false signals going into that. It's just something to be aware of. All right, I've been talking for a long time. Let me just check real quick. Okay, we're still doing okay here. Any good books out there? Sean, so any good books out there you recommend for learning more about options? Actually, I mean, it's been a while since I've read an options book, but if I can't think of any specific ones, but I know Larry McMillan has a bunch of good books. If you look up that author, he's been around forever, and he's wrote a number of serious books on options. Or you could just go out and buy like a beginner options book. There's plenty of them. I don't have any specific ones, but beginner options. I'm sure you can even Google it, and there's plenty of resources. The Options Industry Council, OIC, they have a website. You don't even have to buy a book. They have so much information on that website about how options work, examples, all the different combinations and everything with very detailed explanations. That's just if you Google Options Industry Council, they've always developed a very high quality educational content because they want people to trade options because they make money. Okay. Anyway, so you could check some of that out. Let me see. So good question. Failed low on PSX. Well, I mean that you can call it that, pal. But I mean I would just see that as a double bottom because a failed low would actually have closed lower. It never actually closed lower. It just what's that word? It probed lower intraday and it closed higher. So I would just call that a double bottom. Okay. I have options for Workhorse. 350 for April. Wow. For $30 call. That's cheap, DJ. How'd you get those? $30 calls for April for $3.50. When did you buy those? That's a pretty good price. See, anything that's around $3, $3.50, $2, I think those are good prices for these. If you start pushing $5, forget it. Right? It's just not worth it. Especially for that much time. That's cheap. So thanks for pointing that up. GM came up with Hummer. Oh, okay. Electric. So, pal, I'm just going through the chat here. Going back to your earlier point on position trades, if you believe in Nikola long term, wouldn't this be a position trade area? All right, pal, let's bring back Nikola here. Wouldn't this be a position trade area? Good question. Well, yeah, I mean, it would be because it is beaten up relative to these crazy highs. How high was this thing? $92. Okay, and we're buying this thing at $22. Yeah, so I would say that this is definitely anything around 20 or below is definitely position trade territory. So if you like the stock and you want to hold on to it, because what's it going to do? Go to zero? I mean, so if you buy 100 shares, you're risking $2,000 max, something like that. You can protect yourself with options as well, right? You can buy a put to protect yourself on something like that if you were to do something like that. My point is, yeah, I would definitely say that that's a location for long term. If you believe in them, definitely buying a low. You're not buying a high, and that's what you want to do. And that's a dramatic low. So good question. Oh, electric Hummer. Oh, okay. Wow, how would they run that kind of car on technology? Sean. Oh, so the debate is tonight. Okay. So yeah. So again, like I said, with that debate, what you're looking for is any substantive economic talk, which I don't know. There's probably not a very high chance of it, but if there is, it could affect stocks. Okay, pal. UTZ. Okay. Oh yeah, pal. You brought that up. I saw that in the free chat room. I think the other day. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to. Just been running behind on stuff, so I'm sorry I didn't get to respond to it there. Thank you for asking again in here. So Utes, they make the potato chips, don't they? So let's see here. Nice structure on this. Look at this. You got a nice consolidation breakout there. You have another consolidation here, which is just one giant higher low. I like it. How much is this thing? 17. All right, so basically $18. It's trying to go higher. Something like this. This is something where it might be a good idea to wait for the breakout. Okay, this would be like a breakout candidate. I'm not usually a big fan of breakouts, but why? because right here, where it is right now, it's sort of in the middle of this range, and it may go lower. So you have a couple of choices here. You either wait for a much better price, okay, of like 16, what is that? 1680s. So either wait for something like that and get your buy signal there, or you let this thing break out and then buy it on the breakout. At least you have momentum on your side at that point, and there's a chance that that thing clears. You know, so that's how I think, because if you buy it right here in the middle, it might go higher, it might go lower, you know, and you're like, oh, why did I buy it? Or, you know, you could take a small bite. Instead of 100 shares, you know, you buy 15 or 20. It goes lower, you average into it. It goes higher, you buy back, you know, you buy more on that breakout. So that's another choice for something like that. But the structure is bullish. Your risk would be defined not by this little mini high or low here at 1764. That's too tight. So your risk is going to be defined by 1682, or basically 16 and a half. That's where you're going to define your risk. So you're looking at basically $1.50 to $2 of risk on something like this before you have to decide that it's no good. Okay, but nice stock, nice situation here. I like it. I like it as a continuation pattern. POW, DBC is highly liquid, nice ETF. Right, PDBC. Let's see, what is that? Is that another commodity? Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks very similar. It looks very similar. Again, these are going to trade. These are going to be dollar sensitive. Okay, and right now, it is in the best interest of the U.S. government to have a weaker dollar, right? Because it's good for businesses and all that stuff. So they're going to be doing things to promote a weaker dollar. Now, whether they're effective at doing that or not is a different story, but that's their agenda anyway. So that's why, you know, you have to be careful on dollar strong plays. If we look at the euro, like things like the euro real quick, look at this. Look at this strength, right? Now it's pulling back a little bit, but I'm trying to buy this thing. You know, I want to be long the euro because, I mean, the trend is clearly bullish, right, against the dollar. So just keep that in mind. Okay, the dollar is not bullish yet. Okay, and by the way, they'd probably have to be raising interest rates or something along those lines, or taking money out of the system in order for that dollar to gain some strength. All right, that's one of the things that they can do. All right, be careful of wheat ETFs because the issue K1. Maybe ask Andrew about fundamentals. Okay. I'm not familiar with that one. Let's see. Oh, an energy stock. Okay. Well, yeah, this is not a great position. What a nice chart. You know, recent price action, very, very bullish there. I like that. But this price action here is still this is very iffy. Okay. And I wouldn't touch this yet because you have this is too much of a bearish candle, and there's not enough reversal structure. So I would wait for stability. I'd wait for at least some more candles to prove itself, something. Or this thing goes lower, I'd be looking for this area here. All right, which is around 124, somewhere around there. Right now, that's the inflection point. So either it finds support sooner than that, improves itself with structure, or it tests that level. This is just too tight for me here, okay? But thank you for bringing that one up. That would be a good question for the chat room. I think this is okay, right, okay, got that. Okay, interesting to look at silver. All right, so AG is a silver, First Majestic, this silver stock. And how high did this thing go? $14? Okay. And it's pulled back. The $10 area has been a very significant area for a long time. I know because I used to watch this stock. And look at all this consolidation dating back, way back in that $10 area. So, and as you can see, it's found some support slightly lower. Now, you notice it didn't go to 10 exactly. It went lower than 10, right? It went like 9.25. And you can see these things could be messy. That's why when you deal with these levels, you can't expect precision, okay? You have to look at the general area. And now it's trying to come off of there. Okay, cool, but you may get a lower high here. I don't like this area as a long. I'd rather, if I was gonna get into something like this, I'd rather see the double bottom or something. Also, keep in mind that gold is a big factor with this. I know it's a stock, and stock has a tendency to do its own thing, but gold, here's spot gold, the CFD. gold needs to be on its rally. And surprisingly, but you would think with Bitcoin and the euro and everything going higher, you would think gold would be a little bit more enthusiastic, but it's not. So, not a good candle for gold. Is gold bearish? No. Would I short gold? No. Is fundamentally anything change on gold? No. This is just a consolidation and it's just noise. So before buying something like AG, first I'd wait for a better level. I'd also wait for some kind of confirmation from gold. It'd be nice if this thing can test that 1850 area and give a buy signal. But right now it's still inside of this consolidation. Look at this inflection point. Look how it was a support, back here. And now look how it's basically acting as a resistance. See that? So not a good place to be buying these things. Just be patient, wait, and when if they can produce that opportunity, that's a much better place to buy it. Unless you're willing to take all the pain, that's up to you. But I don't think it's necessary. Okay, there's better opportunities out there. This thing will give us a buy signal, a clear one, and when it does, we'll be looking to get back in. So thank you for bringing that one up. So DJ 350 calls my personal trade. It's not an official Greenbridge. Oh, okay. Well, I think it's a good. I think you have a good trade there, DJ, because the Nasdaq and it looks like they're trying to turn around today, and that's where you want to be. I was talking about Henry, right? Okay, right. He takes those expensive options. Like I said, he likes them because they're going to be less, he likes the delta on them for one, and they're going to be less sensitive to the time decay. The thing is, if the stock goes against you dramatically, it sucks, right? So, I mean, it's almost like buying the stock outright. It's just a little cheaper than holding the stock. I'd rather just do deep out of the money and look for those home runs. All right. Okay, pal. Potato chips. Yeah, sure. Oh, I didn't realize it went public recently. Yeah, okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the brand, so I definitely like the chart. Okay, and look, these are one of those. Something like this is like one of the, what do they call that? It's immune to recession proof. They call this because people are going to buy potato chips no matter what. Right? If there's a recession, people are buying them because they need comfort food. If there's not a recession, people are buying them anyway because they still want to eat comfort food. Okay? So yeah, not a bad idea. I'm not a big potato chip eater though. I eat more sweets. But anyway, okay, let's see. As BTC is on the up, the miners are going too. Mara, okay, let's take a look real quick. MARA. What is this? A mining? Marathon Patent Group. What do they mine Bitcoins? I mean, they should be on the way up, with Bitcoin going. I wouldn't touch these now. It looks very similar to the Bitcoin buy signals too. It looks like it's almost the same time. It looks like almost the same timing, right? So obviously seems to be following Bitcoin almost exactly, right? Which means you don't want to be buying these now. Wait for the pullback, just like Bitcoin. Nice bottom there. Like I like the way that turned. But see, this is going to lure a lot of people in, right? Bitcoin's going to lure a lot of longs, and those longs are going to get, they're going to probably get, these are the same longs that are going to be banging it out when we're looking for our next buy signal. That's how it works, because they all think it's safe now. Now they all go on TradingView and they read some fake guru on there who's telling them to buy Bitcoin now, which is not a good time to buy. Riot, I've heard of Riot. I've seen this stock. Look at that. This is like a day trader stock. Wow, that looks like it's going for a nice breakout here. Riot blockchain. Yeah, you can't touch these now. This would have been a great stock for a day trade, or buying a bunch of it. But who would have bought this back here? I remember looking at this, but I remember like, this stock sucks. This thing's not. I didn't realize it was like a exact correlation to Bitcoin. That could have been a trade of the week or something. But anyway, all right, thanks for bringing that one up. I look at a lot of charts on FinViz. Oh, okay. Market. Oh, interesting. All right, cool. I don't know what Merit and Riot do, but I know they use RH stocks. Okay. Yeah, oh, nice. Well, yeah, so I mean, basically, this is like a Bitcoin. This is basically another way to buy Bitcoin, but through stocks. I mean, you could think of it that way, right? If you don't want to buy Bitcoin, you could buy a $3 stock. That's going to behave the same way because that's what it's doing here. Okay. Although this chart, yeah, I guess look, let's compare this chart. That's Riot, right? And here's Bitcoin. I mean, it's similar, some similarity there, not exactly. But okay. Yeah, so you can look at it that way, right? But again, you can't touch these now. If you're in from a lower price, great. Hopefully you're locking in some profit at these levels. Can this thing clear that resistance? Sure. At this moment, I mean, you get this bearish candle in here, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot. As long as Bitcoin goes higher, you have the momentum in your favor. You try to let that thing run a bit, and just the most vulnerable area would be the failed high area up in here. That's really where you want to be, at least locking in something if it goes there, especially if it gives you a hard time in that area. Okay? Because that's where all the Robinhood traders pour into it, not realizing that they're buying right into the top. So sometimes they break out, but again, it's a matter of probability. Okay? Cool. All right, so I think I got everyone's questions. Thank you again all for, yeah, thank you again for I know this is a lot, this is a much, I usually get these sessions done a lot earlier, so sorry about the time, but thank you for all the participation and spending the hour with me here. If you have any other questions, please let me know so I can answer it real quick before I wrap this up. Do I have any other questions? By the way, if you're new to the channel, please press the like button. Let me know that you like the video or not, so it helps me, it helps encourage me. Also, check out greenbridgeinvesting.com. We have our swing trade service by text and by email, which we're always looking to improve the quality of that. We also have we have position trades or investment ideas by email, and we have a chat room. Andrew puts a lot of stuff in that chat room each day and a lot of insight and updates to our trade ideas. Okay? So anyway, all right, so thank you all again for spending time with me today. I probably will not be doing this again tomorrow. I'm trying to see, like, if I can get 2 of these in a week, that's pretty much where I'm at. I have a lot of stuff on my plate in terms of like marketing, and I have to get that stuff done. So so this will probably be it, and then we'll do this, we'll revisit this again on Monday. All right, so just letting you know in advance. All right, you guys, so again, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the chat room. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.